Hello everybody, my name is John O'Riordan. I'm with Creatively United for the Planet, and I'm also with the Gail O'Riordan Climate and Arts Legacy Fund. Today we're talking about landfill waste and innovative solutions in the Greater Victoria region. How many cities in North America can boast of sending zero waste to the landfill? Well, the township of Esquimalt, located just outside Victoria, is doing just that. It's trying to do that. It's hired consultants to undertake a technical analysis of integrated resource management. These two consultants are with me today. Chris Core is an economist who develops very elaborate cost-benefit sheets and cash flow analysis in advanced waste treatment processes. Graham Bethel is a technical consultant with a master's degree in pollution control technology and understands just how these technologies operate. So Chris, what are the main factors that encourage Esquimalt to go to zero waste?
They first started looking at it to minimize their environmental footprint, starting from the liquid waste side and moving into the solid waste side. Financials were important as well, but it was driven mostly by environmental.
So you're called Pivotal IRM, and IRM stands for Integrated Resource Management. What is Integrated Resource Management, and how is it different from traditional waste management?
Normal waste management looks at individual waste streams like liquid waste and solid waste, and IRM reverses that and says that there's a lot of commonality between them. It focuses on maximizing the resources that come from waste and the value from it, as opposed to disposing of waste.
So Graham, how does a gasifier work? What's its main feedstock? And how would it change the way we currently gather waste in Esquimalt?
Well, a gasifier is a sealed chamber that uses high temperatures to convert organic solid materials into combustion gases in the absence of oxygen. And the primary gases are hydrogen, carbon monoxide, and methane, with small amounts of carbon dioxide. The feedstock can be anything that is organic or biomass material, but it can't process metals, glass, and other inert materials. The emissions from a gasifier will be treated to remove contaminants, and the final emissions are going to be similar to that coming from a natural gas boiler. And what this is going to mean for the households in Esquimalt, it's going to simplify how they put out their recycling and garbage on a weekly basis. With the gasifier system now, they'll only need 2 bins. One for blue box recyclables and one for waste that will go to the gasifier.
So I understand that there's not very many gasifiers in operation in North America, but they're 10 a penny in Europe and Asia. Why is that? And can you give us some examples of how they're being used and growing?
Basically, Europe has a dense population. North America has lots of land, so it's used landfills. In the 1970s, Europe started to look at new ways of using energy, and so it focused on using wastes for that. It had been used to doing it for many years, and so the focus started really in Europe.
I understand the gasifier would be, where would it be located, and where would its heat be used in the Esquimalt area?
The preferred site at this point is the unused portion of the Public Works Yard site. This site is already zoned industrial, but it may have to have some rezoning to permit energy generation from waste. The gasifier system will have an integrated district energy system, enabling heat to be conveyed as hot water about 1 kilometer into the city center, where it can be sold to displace natural gas, thereby generating revenues.
Chris, innovative technologies that often seem to be risky, and quite often this prevents them from being developed. People like the same insured. So how do you manage risk for something like this in Esquimalt?
It's usually best done from very early stage, and so the next stages will be focused on that. Essentially run the feedstocks down to an existing gasifier and run them through, as well as do laboratory tests, and that short circuits both the cost of doing it and the implementation. That's the main risk. There are other risks to do with revenues, and those also have to be addressed essentially through pre-contracting before it goes ahead. And what that means is it can be started quickly and the risks removed very early on.
So looking at the benefit, the cost benefit, what are the revenues potential, and what kinds of greenhouse gas savings are we going to see?
The revenue potential could exceed the cost of the gasifier, and essentially what you're looking at is the potential to sequester carbon, and that could be very substantial, equivalent to about 4,500 tons a year CO2e reduction, and that's more than 100% of the goals for the community, and somewhere between 12 and 15% of the entire GHGs for the community. In terms of the speed with which it can be done, within about 18 months for that to be delivered. And in terms of the revenues, roughly equivalent to $360 a door, which is a very sizable amount for a community like this. It's probably equivalent to between a third and a quarter of the individual taxes.
What are the next steps? What does Esquimalt have to do to make a decision and move this into implementation?
They're going to have to undertake testing of both the feedstock and to physically test the system using the waste. This will confirm acceptance of the approach of the materials, and it'll also set standard by which the manufacturer can place a performance guarantee. Regulatory approval that's going to be required. This is a change, as we've said. It's probably going to be the first location in Canada that's going to do this. And as Chris has pointed out, some of those risk items also have to be pre-contracted before we move to the next phase.
Well, as we said in the beginning of this webinar, communities can make a difference. So this is a prime example of how Esquimalt is making a real difference, or can make a real difference, to managing its waste and reducing its carbon footprint. So good luck to Chris and Graham of Pivotal IRM. Hopefully they will get this green light from the city and we can move to implementation. Thanks very much for your participation and your informative answers.